Greetings again, I'm blessed love. My name is Andre O. Ferguson. Welcome back to the channel. This is Story of Man Vibe. On here, I try to teach and inspire men how to learn to choose love and transform their relationships. It's not just for men though, it's for women, young people who are aspiring to be in relationships, are already in relationships, married, and want to learn how to problem solve and also how to make sure that they're getting the best out of themselves in order to provide the best they can for their relationships and ultimately have a successful relationship. So today's topic, without further ado, is going to be about avoiding these things and destroying your relationship. If you avoid these things, you will definitely destroy your relationship. And the first thing we're going to jump straight into is conflict. So a lot of the times we deal with conflict in a very unproductive and negative way. We all have feelings, we're all human beings, and we all struggle when people deal with us, speak to us, act a certain way around us, and we struggle with how to best deal with those emotions. However, within a relationship, we have to be cognizant of the fact that our relationship dominates or is the hierarchy in how we operate, right? So the relationship is more important than my feelings, just facts, right? As human beings, that is a struggle to always understand, it's a struggle to always live up to, and it's a struggle to always implement. So while in relationships, you find that when conflict situations come up, we resort or we retreat to our defensive space. So we go behind our walls and we start putting up our defensive. Sometimes we pull out the big guns and we start knocking it back. We start clapping back at our missus or our husband. And it's definitely the wrong way to do it. Resolving conflict is a key pillar. Learning how to resolve conflict is a key pillar in having a successful relationships. And there's two ways to resolve conflicts. One is the positive way and the other is the negative way. So how to positively resolve conflict is about communication. So if you hurt my feelings, if you say something I feel that's disrespectful, if you didn't do something we discussed, my job in that situation is to come to you and say, look, baby, because XYZ didn't happen or because XYZ happened, this is how I'm feeling about that situation. This is a conversation we had, we agreed upon certain things and you just haven't followed through on that. And as a result, this is how I'm feeling. The missus or the husband in this situation is supposed to go, okay, baby, I understand. I am sorry for not following through on what I said or not doing what I was supposed to do or speaking to you in this way or blah, 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 vice versa. You get the point. But mainly the most important thing in a conflict situation is to communicate and communicate in a respectful way so that you can both feel like you're being heard and understood, as opposed to locking yourselves away and not dealing with the situation or the conflict at all, right? So positive way. Communicate. If you're going to learn nothing about relationships, if you're going to do nothing right in your relationship, make sure you communicate. Communication solves pretty much every problem that you could possibly have in your relationship. Now, the negative way to resolve conflict is to not communicate, obviously, right? So it's about, as I said, going to that place in your head where, you feel safe, you're holding your ground because you know what, you didn't do that, or you spoke to me in this way, and now I resent you for that, and you go on your crazy cycle and you start doing the wrong thing, which is holding feelings against the person you love, as opposed to dealing with the problem. Remember, there is a problem and the person isn't the problem. So when you throw out the baby with the bathwater, you don't actually solve any problems. You create more problems. So what the best thing to do in a conflict situation is, one, take a breath if you're really, really upset, take a walk if you need to, and come back and try and have a proper conversation. Doing the opposite is wrong. Right? If you do not talk, if you do not try and resolve the problem, irrespective of who caused the problem, and that is a major issue within relationships, you're going to hold your ground because you feel like you're right and that person wronged you. And if that person doesn't come to you first, nothing is going to happen. And that is a very unhealthy way to resolve conflicts. Because if your relationship is the hierarchy, is the most important thing, and not my feelings, not your feelings, then the most important thing to do in a conflict situation is think about the best thing for the relationship, not you, because feelings are fickle and they change, and your feelings don't always inform you in the right and proper way. Remember, anger is the enemy of correct thought. If you are angry and you're making decisions in your anger, you're probably going to make the wrong decision. So that is a very unhealthy way to resolve conflict. Try and calm yourself down first of all. Take a walk if you need to. Think about the fact that, okay, we're in a conflict situation. And if we don't resolve this conflict, our relationship is not going to go very far. And we're going to also cause ourselves more problems as opposed to solving the ones we have at present, right? So one positive way to resolve conflict is to communicate respectfully, speak softly, try and gain understanding as to where the other person is coming from. Unhealthy way to solve conflict is the opposite of that, right? So let's try and resolve conflict. If you avoid resolving conflict, you are definitely going to destroy your relationship, because feelings fester and people start, the devil finds work for idle hands, it finds a lot more work for idle minds. So if you are sitting with your feelings, you're definitely going to create more problems in your relationship. Point number two, you have to experience all emotions together. One of the problems, especially us as men have, is we try to protect or women from certain things, right? Think about it. If you're going through a stressful situation, you don't think your missus can handle that stress, you're going to not tell her. You're going to be in your feelings. You're probably going to walk around, try and figure things out by yourself. If you're anything like me, you're working it out in your head, you're processing it, you're very quiet, and that could take days, right? She's sitting there trying to figure out, oh, what is he going through? Is it me? Have I done something? And sometimes my wife asks me that question, baby, did I do something wrong? And it's genuinely nothing to do with her. I'm just working things out in my head, right? Or another example, you are in a situation, you have a friend from a long time ago, a sister, a brethren, whatever it may be, and you're going through something deep and tough, and that person's always been there for you. But now you're in a committed relationship, have been for years, but you choose to go to your friend who you've always gone to because that's your default setting and that's the person you've always spoken to, without consulting your wife or your missus. And then you offend your wife and your missus. You're gonna break her heart if you do that, because she wants your heart. And if you're giving that to somebody else, irrespective of the fact that that person was around before her, no, roles have to change, because you have to trust her now with your emotions and your feelings and your fears and your cares. Whatever you're going through, she wants to share that with you. And if you're not sharing those emotions with her, she's going to feel less than. She's going to feel like you don't trust her. She's going to feel like you don't need her. She's not a big enough part of your experience and your journey and your relationship. And she's going to feel like you are acting as though she is just somebody you come to for certain things, but you can't share your whole life with her. Remember, a relationship is about being vulnerable with the other person. And if you are vulnerable with the other person, and if you're giving them your all, then they're definitely going to give you your all. With women, once they have your heart and they give you their heart, they're all in. And they will run through brick walls for you if you trust them, if you take care of them, if you keep them safe, if you make sure that they feel that love and understanding and compassion. You praise them, you encourage them, you motivate them, you lift them up, and you hold yourself as a man to a higher standard. There's nothing your woman, if she truly loves you, will not do for you. But if you keep those emotions and those feelings from her, if you don't share that with her, you don't share your joys, you don't share your failures, you don't share your fears, especially your vulnerabilities. Remember, as men, we want to always, if you grew up anything like me, you were conditioned to be strong all the time. But we're not. We're definitely not strong all the time. I've had clients, ladies, telling me that they didn't know that their husbands had feelings until they had a divorce. I want you to marinate on that for a second. There's people out here who genuinely think that men don't have feelings, women. And that's crazy to me. And you'll see that acted out in a lot of situations where, some women, not all, some women will genuinely feel that the man is strong enough to deal with this, or, he just doesn't think about things like that. But ladies, 100% we do. 100% we feel. And there's some men who don't consider the emotions of their women enough, or think that women are too sensitive. Whereas what we need to do is just be sensitive to their sensitivity and have a little bit more understanding. Sometimes your missus just wants you to listen. And because we always want to fix stuff and we see it practically, probably straight away we go, no, just do this. But really, she just wants you to listen. So we just have to be a little bit more sensitive to their sensitivity. And ladies, we have feelings too, yeah? Just to make you know, we definitely have feelings too. So consider that when you deal with it, because our feelings matter just like your feelings, all right? We have feelings just like you, all right? So these are the two things I wanted to share with you today. Conflict resolution, resolve conflict quickly, right? Don't let things marinate over a period of time. because the devil finds work for idle minds. But more than that, the longer things rest, the longer things settle, the more resentment is built up, the more distance you create in your relationship, and the further you find yourself drifting apart because you're not actually dealing with your problems. And remember, in conflict resolution, it's not about winning an argument or who was right or who was wrong. It's about resolving the actual problem. And if you don't resolve the problem, or if you resolve the problem in a way that makes you feel better and makes the other person feels less, you didn't actually resolve the problem. What you did was create another problem, right? So conflict resolution in a healthy and productive way. Avoid negative resolutions or negative conflict resolutions. There's an unhealthy way to resolve conflict, and you want to avoid that. So try and stick to the positive and the good ways to make your partner feel better at the end of every conflict. When you come out of a conflict, you're both supposed to come out of it feeling like you've gone up a notch. You've raised the bar a level within your relationship, because that process of communication and conflict resolution showed you a little bit more about him and showed you a little bit more about her. Right? So that's 1. 2, remember to share your emotions, especially us brothers. Please share your emotions with your missus. That's what she craves. She craves your actual attention. She craves your feelings. She wants to know how you feel, how things make you feel. She wants to feel like she's a part of your journey, meaning all aspects of your journey. And we go through ebbs and flows as men. We have worries, we have cares, and because a lot of us feel like we're providers and protectors, sometimes we don't feel like we can actually do that. That is something that we struggle with as well. A lot of us are going through mental health issues as a result. So share those feelings with your missus. Remember, a problem shared is a problem halved. And if she loves you, she's going to do her best to take care of you, right? That's it for me today. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know down in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe to that channel. Yeah, give it to somebody who you think it might help. And please let me know how these topics help you, and if there's anything you would like me to talk about on here. Yeah. So until next time, enough love and enough respect. And remember, write your own story.